And John's not in a hurry, will not get the snap, and that will do it. Your 27-6A champions reside in Spring Branch.
Welcome to Inside Rangers Football. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, with Smithson Valley head coach Larry Hill. The Rangers are 27-6A champs, closing out the regular season with a 23-7 win over the Broncos this past Friday, wrapping up a 9-1 regular season and a 6-1 run through a very difficult district. Coach, again, this journey has been a long and hard road. This has been a very tough district, a rewarding championship for your program.
You know, no doubt. We've certainly won our share of district championships through the years, but it's like we told our players the other night, I don't think we've ever had one that's littered with this many tough obstacles. You know, they're all good, they're all special, but this one's probably the most difficult to attain, and we're real proud of being able to do it.
Well, let's look back at the game itself this past Friday, a 23-7 win over New Braunfels. We previewed the game saying that the Unicorns didn't have as much to play for as you did. They were out of the playoff race, but this was a good football team, one of the more deserving playoff teams in the state that did not get that invite because of this tough district. So looking back at the game Friday, what stood out?
Well, you know, we knew they'd come to play. Their kids got a lot of pride. They have great tradition, good coaches, good kids. So, you know, the fact that they were eliminated the week before, we knew that wouldn't detract from their performance. And they came as good as advertised.
Yeah.
They got after us. I thought their defensive front played extremely well, their linebackers. Offensively, they posed some real threats to you, particularly with the multiple things their quarterback can do. But so we knew it would be another 27-6A go down to the wire game, and it was. And we knew we'd have to persevere through some struggles, and we did. And the second half, we were able to pull away, get some stops. I thought field position in the second half was the big key. We finally got shorter fields. They finally got longer fields, and then we had a big play or two, a kicking game play, and you know, did enough to win, which is about what you do in 27-6A. You don't get to dominate much.
Right. Part of our preview of the game last week was about how explosive the Broncos could be offensively, and you held the Unicorns to 7 points, and Ryan Redding, the quarterback, had that one big run in the opening quarter, setting up their only touchdown of the game. After that, you shut New Braunfels' offense down, and not many teams have been able to say they can do that. How did you do it?
Well, you know, you hit on it a minute ago, trying to limit explosives and make them drive the ball. Of course, you know, that's your goal against any team, but you know, we felt confident that maybe if we made them go 8, 10, 12 plays, the odds are in our favor. But, you know, he popped the 70-some-odd yard run, got it down there close, and they scored. But we were able to limit that, trying to take away the upfield throw, trying to take away the quarterback keep phase of the zone game, make them run it inside. Easier said than done, but particularly mid-second quarter on, I thought that worked well for us.
Looking at the play of your offense, you had a tough time really getting into a rhythm for all 4 quarters of the game. Why was that?
Well, two things. You know, I think, number one, the Braunfels. You know, their front seven played extremely well. And then I think, secondly, you know, we had some penalties that brought back, I think 4 explosive plays were brought back on penalties. And, you know, we had some chop block calls, a couple that brought back some big plays, got a holding call that brought back. So I think 3 different drives ended up with a second or third and over 20 yards. So, and then we had 2 touchdowns called back because of a penalty. And so, you know, obviously, I guess you could make an argument that held the score down a little bit, but we can't make those errors. We may have thought they were bad calls. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but their bottom line was they took away big plays, and that's something we've got to correct.
In a game in which your offense does struggle to again get into a rhythm, it's nice when you play so well as you did defensively, but also special teams play was really good this past Friday.
I thought so. You know, Brant Sanderson had a great game punting him 2 different times, punted him inside the 10, once even inside the 5, which led to points. And then I thought our kickoff coverage and our kickoff returns created long fields for them and short fields for us. Eventually we were able to break through, and then I think our defense, you know, they weren't able to go on 80, 90-yard drives. That's tough to do. So it matters every game, but I think last Friday very much mattered.
And you were also able to get 2 points on special teams on a safety as well early in the third quarter.
Yeah, and that was really, you know, the game was tied. We punted them back to the 3, held them 3 and out, and then we got the high snap even if they had punted it, we'd probably get great field position. With the bad snap, we get 2 points. We led, and we never really looked back from there.
Again, Smith Valley the winner this past Friday over New Braunfels, securing the 27-6A title. A lot of big plays for the Rangers in their win over the Unicorns. Let's take a look at the plays of the week.
Let's go look at them. Our first big play is a special teams play. Our drive stalls, as you can see, on about the 32, 3-yard line, and we put our punt team on the field. The game's still tied at this point. Brant Anderson's our punter. Thought he had his best game of the year punting the football. And we're going to try to drop it inside the 10. You can see the great protection up front. There's Brant's with the circle around in the ball. The snap is right on target. He gets great height and lift, allows our coverage team to get down the field and brings it down on about the 7-yard line. And then Brady Chubb, one of our senior defensive backs who's on the punt team, eyes the ball and kills it on the 3-yard line, and putting them in a deep hole that will eventually lead to points for our team. That's John Beck, who's our deep snapper. You can see that snap is right on target. Brant's kind of angle punting that thing toward our sideline. As the ball drops out of the sky, you can see Brady's looking for it, finds it, sees it up in the air, and then kills it on the 3. And that allows them to have the long field. We stop them in 3 straight and then get a safety that puts us in the lead for the first time. Next big play is a defensive play. We have 2 senior defensive linemen. On the inside, Manoa Paupau. On the outside, C.J. Keeler. And the little arrows there are going to kind of indicate that they crisscross their pass on a pass rush. You can see that. And as we get him up the field, you see Manoa keeping the quarterback from scrambling to the outside as C.J. pressures to the inside, makes him step up. When he does, Manoa doesn't give up on the play, ends up getting a sack from behind. Great relentlessness after a good play to force the quarterback to run. You get a better look at it from behind. Again, you can see our 2 guys there on the right. That's Manoa getting up the field, creating an inside alley for CJ to go around and through. When CJ pressures him, he steps up the field, tries to scramble. Manoa keeps him from getting outside and then doesn't give up on the play. He's going to run back. Well executed play, great effort by our guys. Our last big play is an offensive play. It's just a run-pass option. We have the chance to run the ball inside, but instead we throw it out here to senior wide receiver, defensive back, Trayvon Merrick-Woodard, and he gets a block there from Draylon Radaball up from the JV. Only his 2nd game on the varsity. Gets a good block on the defensive back, which allows Trayvon to make the catch, get to the sideline, outrun the defense. Or really the touchdown that put some distance between us, made it a 2-possession game at that point. See it from the rear a little bit better what the play could be. We have 2 lead blockers and our center blocking away. This could be a running play if the quarterback decided. You can see there he's deciding whether to keep the ball with our running back, or is he going to pull the ball out and throw it to the outside. The way the defense reacted with everybody inside, he made the decision to throw it. Okay, you can see 2 defensive backs coming from the inside out after they played the run. And then you can see Draylon with his block and the stiff arm by Trayvon on the remaining defensive back. Then he uses his skill and his speed to escape with really the touchdown that, like I said, put the distance between us and them and led to the win. And those are our plays of the week.
Coach, the play I want to highlight that you just showed was the touchdown to Trayvon Merrick-Woodard. We mentioned earlier your offense had a tough time getting into a rhythm throughout the game, but it's nice when you can throw the football to number 44.
It is. You know, he can make something out of nothing. You know, we've obviously had his share of plays up the field, big long throw and catches, but you know, he has the ability to run after the catch too. What you saw there was a medium yardage type play that with a good block and his own ability to run after the catch turned into a big play. And that's, as I said, it was the one that got us, made it a 2-possession game, gave us a little bit of breathing room.
Well, the regular season is over. The new season begins. The postseason coming up later in the show. We'll preview Smith Valley's opening round game against the Jay Mustangs. Much more to come here on Inside Rangers Football. We're back in a moment.
We just got the GVTC Connect Home with Sky Bell.
Wow, you can see who's at your front door. Who is that?
Hello, Mr. Mueller. It's Marty from GVTC.
That's Mason Pierce, senior wide receiver and defensive back for the Rangers.
No, just Marty. Making sure everything's working. Video, doorbell, remote arming and disarming of your alarm, and you're getting text messages when windows or doors are opened.
Marty, watch this. Rangers, Rangers, Rangers.
The best! I mean, the best security on the planet.
And welcome back to Inside Rangers Football. Smithson Valley will take on Jay. That preview coming up later in the show. But now time for this week's Senior Moments. Each week we have a lot of fun with this segment. But this particular segment this week, a very special one with Ranger players working on something for their moms. Our very own Emily Wick has more in this week's Senior Moments.
So I'm here with some of my Ranger football players today, and we decided we would do a little something special for moms. So boys, grab your paintbrushes, your glue sticks, and let's get going. When's the last time you did your mama handprint art?
Oh, like kindergarten or something?
Kindergarten.
So see, she can see how much you've grown. Look how fun. All right, ready? Spread your fingers out.
Is that good?
Yeah, ready?
I made this handprint for my mom because it's the least I can do for everything that she does for me. I love you, Mom. You deserve it.
This is really important for me to make for my mom because she's my #1 fan and she has always been there for me, so I love her to death.
I've been working really hard on this today because I know and hopefully my mom will wear this to every game. And whenever I look up in the stands, I'll see her wearing this.
Alright, I made my mom an apron, and one thing I like to do a lot is eat, and hopefully she uses this whenever she cooks for me.
I made my mom this football handprint, and it says, my mom's my number one, because she drives me everywhere I go, takes me to all my practices, and she cooks me so much food.
I made my mom an apron because she's my #1 fan. And I put these fake diamonds because I don't have money to buy real diamonds. So got fake diamonds on here. So hopefully she'll wear it when she cooks because I eat well.
I made my mom this handprint so she can add it to her collection of art that I have made to her throughout the years because she supports me through everything I've ever done. I love you, Mom.
Aww. Mom, I love you.
Thanks, Emily. And Coach, these players can never forget about their moms. That's a pretty special thing they did for them.
Yeah, arts and crafts and football. That's something you don't really see going together too much. So
when moms are involved, it works.
You got to do what you got to do.
And right now what we have to do is kick it to this week's Little Men. Here's Coach Hill with this week's segment.
Today's Little Men segment, we're going to talk about the sweep play, or sometimes called the jet sweep play. That is where we bring a receiver in real fast motion right in front of the quarterback. He hands it to him, runs around to the outside, try to hook the defensive lineman and get a block on the edge and turn it into a true outside run, or what we call a jet sweep play. Here to show us that on the Little Men segment today, we have Coach Glenn Hill. Glenn coaches our running backs here, and Glenn, let's go to the board here and show us a typical jet sweep.
Yes, sir. Now typically our runs are more north and south. With a sweep, like Coach Hill said, that's more of a perimeter-oriented run. So what these guys are going to try to do, the entire line, their goal is to reach and get seal blocks on all these defensive linemen. So they'll be moving laterally as opposed to north and south like they typically do. The running back here, he's responsible for the box area. So he'll be coming over here, and his goal is to cut the outside leg of this box defender. Pre-snap, this receiver could be a fullback. He'll be coming in motion in front of the quarterback, and he will get the ball at the snap, and his goal is to reach the sideline, and he'll be going down the numbers.
Let's go to some game clips and watch the jet sweep in action.
All right, so we've got an example of the sweep here. We can see the receiver starting to come into motion. The quarterback sends him. From here, our tackle ideally would be sealing this guy, the defensive end, but right here is doing a great job getting hands on him, pushing him out. This makes the receiver cut upfield. Running back gets a great cut block on the box defender. We have receivers blocking downfield, offensive linemen sealing off their jobs. Now we have our final touchdown block, you can call it, a big cut downfield and an athlete being an athlete making a play. From the end zone angle, see the hole left by the tackle here blocking out the defensive end. This gives the receiver a chance to cut upfield. We have a really good view of that seal block by the offensive line and the box cut by the running back.
The jet sweep could be a big play for our offense, or it could help set up other plays. Either way, it's a big part of what we do. Thank you, Coach Hill, for bringing that to us today. And now let's go to Ranger Trivia.
This week in Rangers Trivia, Smithson Valley won the 27-6A title outright after Friday's win over New Braunfels. How many district championships have the Rangers won in Coach Hill's 25 seasons? Is the answer A, 11, B, 12, or C, 13? The answer is C, 13. The district title is Smithson Valley's first since being classified as a 6A program and the team's first district championship since winning the 25 5A title back in 2013.
And that's right, a baker's dozen, 13 district titles now for Smithson Valley. And again, a very rewarding one this season out of the 27 6A district. Championships in a district like this don't come up very often.
No, they don't. There's, as we said earlier, I'm not sure we've ever had a more difficult road to get it. And so it's with a sense of pride that we win it. We know that doesn't necessarily do anything for you in the postseason, but this 10-week stretch we've had, it's rewarding for our guys to get that payoff.
And again, the postseason starts this Friday against Jay. A game we'll preview coming up next. Inside Rangers football continues in just a moment.
Make memories of a lifetime this Thanksgiving weekend at Bernie's 18th Annual Dickens on Main celebration, Friday and Saturday, November 24th and 25th. Stroll Main Street Snowy Wonderland as you enjoy live ice sculpting, a 60-foot snow slide, photos with Santa, and of course holiday shopping along Bernie's Hill Country Mile. Dickens on Main features fun children's activities, live performances like Bah Humbug, a one-man Christmas carol, horse-drawn carriages, food merchants, and amazing concerts each night. And admission is free. Visit dickensonmain.com for all the details.
Whether you're looking to build a new home, buy your first car, or follow your dream of being your own boss, let a neighbor help you. We understand your financial needs because we live and work here. Sage Capital Bank.
Just press enter and your GVTC home DVR will record your show automatically.
Thanks, Doug from GVTC, who looks exactly like Ranger Senior CJ Keeler.
I'm just Doug. Here to help.
Fumble!
Here you go. Can I help you set up your favorite channel list now?
Let's do it.
And welcome back to the Inside Rangers Football TV studio. Smithson Valley taking on the Jay Mustangs in the Region 4 6A Division II playoffs this Friday at Ranger Stadium. Now, Jay comes into this game with a record of 7-3. They won their final 2 games of the regular season and a virtual playoff game, a wild one, this past Friday over Brandeis, 58-57 in overtime. Coach, I know you had some assistance there scouting the game. What time did they get back in?
Yeah, it was pretty wild, pretty late, and they had quite a bit of information for us, but they've got the explosive capability. If they get into a shootout type game like that, well, they can stand toe to toe with anybody. If it takes 58 to win it, then we can do it because we've got those kind of playmakers, that kind of firepower.
A very relentless football team because, again, they essentially have been playing playoff games the past couple of weeks just to get into the postseason. You look at the offense for Jay, a team that scores 58 points in a must-win game. Obviously, they're very good. Jalen Hastings, in particular, has some of the best numbers for a running back in the greater San Antonio area. He ran for nearly 300 yards against the Broncos this past Friday. 4 games now with 200 yards or more, 1,800 yards on the season in a 10-game schedule. How do you slow him down?
Well, it's a good question. I'm sure it's something that all their opponents have been asking, and they've been a problem they've been unable to solve. I think with their quarterback, highly recruited kid, and the playmakers at receiver, they tend to spread you out all over the field, and then that leaves you a little short-handed on the run. And the ability of this young man and their offensive line then if that's what you're giving them, they're going to take it, and he can make you pay. A 5-yard gain for most people might be 50. And of course, they throw it very, very well. So if you tank up to stop that, then they don't mind hurting you the other way. You know, they don't really have any weaknesses, and they don't. You can't say, well, let's stop the run, and that's all we got to do. But you can't say the other either. So we got a big challenge ahead of us.
Yeah, the quarterback is Jacob Zeno. He has thrown for over 2,000 yards himself this season, a touchdown interception ratio of 20-4. Is there a comparable opponent you've played this season that you can compare to Jay?
Well, you know, it's very difficult to say. You know, 27-6A is a black and blue league. You know, most people are trying to line up and hurt your feelings running a football. But New Braunfels, the team that we played the most recently, you know, with their quarterback as talented as he was, throwing the ball to multiple people around the field, and then he and the running back hurting you if you spread out too much. So similar styles. You know, I think the athletes are in different areas are slightly different, good or bad, but similar attack than them as far as formations and the style of play that they use.
Breaking down the play of Jay's defense this season, they're giving up about 30 points per game, but they forced their share of turnovers, about 20 this year. They're getting after the quarterback as well. A very aggressive defense. What looks are you expecting to see on Friday?
Well, they're a 4-3 defensive team. They're not real multiple. They don't want to be. They line up virtually one way up front over and over because they're pretty good at it. And then their cornerbacks get after your wide receivers. They'll get right up in their face, man press, try to take away your short game and force you to throw it up the field. And then, you know, they've got a good defensive front that pressure the passer. So they try to put pressure on you and make you get away from the things that have been good to you.
Just about every team you've played this season, you have a lot of history against. Jay, not so much. There's only been one prior meeting in the postseason 12 years ago. It was a Ranger win, by the way. No relation to the game this Friday, but what do you recall about that game?
Well, you know, that was a second-round playoff game. I think we played them over there at Ferris Stadium, and they had a really fine team. And back and forth most of the first half. We got a couple of big plays in the second half, scored on a deep ball, if I recall, and pulled away, ended up winning by a couple of touchdowns. But, you know, whether we can, I don't know that there's a whole lot of carryover in that none of our players had started first grade yet when that game was playing. So I think most of the players on both teams now are in their 30s, and they're probably not going to help us much.
Maybe not so much. Again, the game is at Ranger Stadium on Friday. A lot of times in the postseason, most of the games are played at neutral sites. You get to have a home game this Friday. What does that mean?
Well, it means a lot. You know, 6A put that rule in, I guess, 3-4 years ago now, where the higher seeded team gets the home game automatically. And so we've been on both ends of that. We hosted last year, I guess 2 years ago, played Reagan up at their place. So, but you know, you play at home, comforts of home, all your meeting rooms, dressing rooms are, you know, things that you're familiar with. It's a routine you've done 5 times, you know, but you know, once the foot's put to the ball and the game starts, you know, I think you just settle in and play football. So I hope it's an advantage, but I doubt Jay thinks it is.
Yeah, I said earlier that Jay has been playing virtual playoff games the past few weeks, but to be fair, you really have as well. Playoff-like atmosphere games, certainly, and something on the line in every game you've played in district. How does that serve to help your team in getting ready for postseason play?
Well, you hope it does. You know, it's pretty nerve-wracking. I guess the Clemens game, Canyon game, Judson game, the Braunfels game all came down to the fourth quarter, some of them down to the last play. Certainly playoff type atmospheres, you'd like to win by a little more comfortable margins. That's not always possible in our league. So that can't do anything but help us. Whether it helps us enough to be victorious, I guess we'll see. But I'd like to think there won't be an atmosphere that our kids hadn't been exposed to. And the more you're involved in something like that, the little less nerve-wracking it is. So we'll see.
All right, Coach, best of luck on Friday.
All right, thank you, Brant.
Again, Smithson Valley would take on the Jay Mustangs this Friday at Ranger Stadium. Kickoff is at 7:30, and we'll have live coverage on the Rangers Network starting at 7:15. For head coach Larry Hill, I'm Brant Freeman. This has been Inside Rangers Football. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll catch you again next time.